Alright, hey guys, we're going to look at how we can use our calculator as a tool to check equivalency. Okay, this is a cool little way we can use this to make sure, like, did I actually simplify that correctly? Here we go. You're going to open up a new document. You're going to add a calculator because that's super dope. And here we go. We're going to do what's called storing a number as a variable. You want to choose a small number, but you don't want to use 0 or 1, and you don't want to use any negatives. Okay, you could use the same number for all of the variables. You could use a different one. Just use a small one. Don't go crazy with it, or else you'll get crazy answers and you'll be like, I don't know what I'm doing, Miss Valente. And I'll be like, yeah, why didn't you use a small one, right? So let's save us that conversation. Here we go. So let's look at our first example here. We had x squared times x cubed. All right, so first thing, I have a variable of x, so I need to store a number as x. So I'm going to do 2. I like 2. And we're going to hit Control, Variable, and then you're going to choose the variable you're defining. We're defining x, and then hit Enter. We have just stored 2 for x. So now whatever we type in, it's going to automatically substitute 2 wherever x is. Okay, so let's type the original. So we have x squared times, always hit the times in between just to make sure, because if you don't, it does funky things and we cry sad tears. All right, times x to the third power. We hit enter. Okay, so it says if I substitute 2 into this expression, it would equal 32. All right, so we're going to come here. We said that this should simplify to x to the 5th. So I'm going to type x to the 5th, and if we simplified right, it should also equal 32. Here we go, moment of truth. 32, woohoo! Okay, that's how you can check. All right, so let's look at like this bottom one where we had 3 variables. So we would just store 3 variables. Here we go. And you can use the exact same number for each one. So if I do 2, control var, because that's variable. So we're going to store it for y and hit enter. And then I'm going to do it for e. So 2, control var for e, enter, and do it one more time because we have that lonely little t in there. So t, 2, control var, and then t. Hit enter. All right, we've told the calculator we want 2 to be substituted in for each of those variables. So we're going to type that first one in. I'm going to erase this real quick just so I can make sure I get all the right variables in here, and exponents. So here we go, y squared, and remember hit times, e to the, remember if it's anything other than squared, just hit this up arrow, negative 2, arrow out of it, or else you'll hang out in the exponent and sad things happen. Okay, times e to the 5th, so up arrow, 5, arrow out, times t to the 4th, arrow out, times y to the 4th, arrow out, times e, up arrow, negative 1, arrow out, and then we hit enter. Okay, cool. So that's what the original would equal. Always start with the original. Now we're going to type in what we ended up with. So the y to the 6th, e squared, t to the 4th. All right, so let's do y to the 6th, arrow out, times e to the 2nd, I could have done squared, arrow out, times t to the 4th. Okay, moment of truth, arrow out, moment of truth. Let's hope this worked or else I made a mistake. Here we go. Woohoo! All right, so that's what you do. All right, so let's keep that in mind. Let's look at some quotient ones and then set you free. Okay, so let's look at some of these quotient ones. We'll just jump right into here. We'll just do one just to make sure you really are getting this, right? So I'm going to store, I have 3 variables, d, g, and h. So I'm going to do 2, control var for d, enter, 2, control var for g, enter, and 2, control var for h, hit enter. Okay, I've stored I have to find my variables. Now I'm going to write it. So control divide. I'm going to type it. So d to the third, arrow out, times g to the fourth, arrow out, times h. That's it for the numerator. Denominator, arrow down. So I have d squared. If it's squared, I can just hit that, times, and then I have g to the third, so g, up arrow to the third, arrow out, hit enter. Okay, so it should equal 8. Let's find out. We said it should be d times g times h. So I'm going to do d times, remember you have to hit times in between or else it's going to give you funky, nope, I don't know what you want, right? D times g times h. Fingers crossed. Woohoo! Okay, that's how you can use your calculator to check for equivalency. Did I do it correctly? Okay, store your variables and then type the original, type your simplification. They should match with their solutions. If not, oh no, go double check. First double check that you typed it right, then go double check your work over here and see where is the mistake.